Hello dear students. So once the introduction of this chapter, Nazism and Rise of Hitler, has been done, let us quickly see that what was the pre-Nazism time like and what happened during the World War I. As we were discussing, and I have already told you in the class, that the entire world got divided into two parts. One power called Allied powers, which was comprised of UK, USSR, entire of Russia, and later on joined by United States of America. And the other was Axis powers like Germany, Japan, and Italy. So Germany fought the war alongside Austrian Empire against all the allies like England, France, and Russia. And you will be surprised to know that Germany initially was winning, and it won and occupied France and Belgium. But by the year 1917, when United States of America joined the Allied powers, that time the Allied powers became very, very, powerful. So the Allied became stronger with US entry, which was the year, it was in the 1917. And then they defeated Germany and the Central powers like Japan and Italy in November 1918. So this defeat led to the abdication of emperor. As I have already explained, abdication means most of the countries were having imperial system, like monarchies they were having. So the emperors were removed, abdicated, and National Assembly was called, and they met at Weimar. And they established democracy with the federal structure. Federal structure means where the powers are divided. Like if you talk about India, like the central government and the state government, in this way, the India has got a federal kind of a government structure. Now, like German parliament was created, putting up the Reichstag in mind. Like for the first time, the parliament was elected on the basis of universal votes for the adults, that is universal adult franchisee, and then the equal votes were collected and even the women were included. But people were very, very unhappy since the government agreed to the humiliating peace treaty. What was it called? It was called Versailles Peace Treaty. Now, why the people were unhappy and why it was very, very harsh and humiliating peace treaty? Because Germany lost its overseas colonies, almost 1/10 of its population, 13% of its territories, 75% of its iron, and 26% of its coal to France, Poland, Denmark, and Lithuania. Now these allied powers, not only they have occupied the territories and the population was killed and taking over of the natural resources, these allied powers, they demilitarized Germany to weaken. So you can imagine when you take away the military power from a country, how weak the country becomes. So the Germany's military power was demilitarized. Now, the War Guilt Clause held Germany responsible for the war and all the damages which has happened or has, put up to the Allied companies or the Allied companies which they suffered from. And Germany was held not only responsible but was forced to pay all the compensation. And the amounting of this compensation, if you round it up, it was coming up to 6 billion euros. And the Allied armies also occupied the resource-rich Rhineland for much of the 1920s. Now, for all these things, it was very, very disgraceful, humiliating, and harsh for the people, and they were not at all happy. Now, there were some, whenever there is a war or a battle or any kind of dispute, it has to carry on certain effects. So, let us quickly see what were the effects of these World War I. So, for number one effect was that those who supported the Weimar Republic, they were mainly the socialists, Catholics, and Democrats. They became easy targets of attack in the conservative nationalist circle. And they started mocking them up and they mockingly started calling them by the name of November criminals. And this mocking left a very, very negative kind of mindset of these socialist Catholics and Democrats, and we will be talking about it in the later classes. Then soldiers, they came to be placed over the civilians. Then soldiers were put above the civilians. Then politicians and publicists laid great stress on the need for men, and that time there was a feeling that the need of men should be very, very aggressive, they should be very strong, and they should be very, very masculine. So that was a kind of a figure they were depicting on. The media, though they glorified the trench life, under the bunkers, but truthfully the soldiers, they led a very, very miserable life on, inside the trench. And these trenches were terrible. They were trapped with rats feeding on corpses. They faced poisonous gas, and there was enemy shelling also. And when there was shelling, suppose the shelling has just happened next to the trench where you are not affected, you did not die, but the poisonous gases which are coming out from those shelling are so suffocating that people, like those soldiers, they had a terrible life over there. They faced all these poisonous gases, and even their ranks were reduced rapidly. And this aggressive war propaganda and national honor, it occupied center stage in the public sphere, while the popular support grew for conservative dictatorship. And then the last thing is the democracy, that time, which was very a fragile idea. People were not much into that, giving the government into the hands of the commoners or the people of the country. It was a young and fragile idea, could not survive the instabilities of the interwar Europe. So we will be discussing later in the class in detail about the economic crisis, and followed by the political radicalism or the crisis we had after World War I. So I'm concluding the chapter right now. Take care of yourself and stay blessed. Thank you so much, children.